It has been an exciting day when it comes to what's going on in the NFT and crypto market. So in this video, we are going to be covering some major updates and the hottest projects you need to know right now. Now, the first thing we'll talk about is going to be the market's sentiment when it comes to what's going on in crypto land, in the crypto world. Ethereum is pretty stable. It's at that 1.3 and nothing crazy going on. At least it's stable for the most part. And even the fear and greed index looking pretty fearful overall in the crypto market, which is totally fine. But what I really wanted to do is get into the NFT news. So maybe there's not a lot of volume coming in, but there have been some interesting movements going on. The first project that I do want to talk about is going to be CloneX, because they announced their new project called Project Animus. So Project Animus, what is it going to be? Well, there's not too much information about it, but essentially all CloneX holders are supposedly going to get an egg drop, aka an airdrop, meaning they're going to give you a free NFT just for holding a CloneX. Now, when I've dug a little deeper on what this is all about, in the FAQ section of the Artifact Discord, they said project codename Animus. So it's a codename, it's not going to be the official name, just like how the codename for CloneX was Akira way back in the day, if for those of you who remember that or was in the space back then. They're saying that CloneX holders going to get exclusive first access to it via Animus airdrop. So what does first access mean? Are there going to be more than 20,000? Is everyone going to get an airdrop? And is there going to be a way to also purchase it if you do not have a CloneX? My speculation is that there probably will be based on that language, but hey, it's all speculation. Project Animus will be launched in 2023. Hopefully, you know, that's going to be when the bull market hits, but hey, it might be a while. Interestingly, when it comes to the storytelling aspect of things, right? So Benito over here, one of the co-founders of Artifact, he put out this little teaser. It's just text really, right? So it's not super hard to do this kind of thing, but I'm guessing that the quests and the side quests are going to be puzzles. It's interesting because they tag this guy over here who is builder and destroyer of puzzles. I believe he creates these interesting puzzles and he also solves them. He's just like a puzzle maker, right? So it's interesting that we're going to probably see more full-time puzzle makers in the future, as a lot of projects, they need to keep their community engaged. What better way to do that than cryptic puzzles, which is very native to Web3, right? So as you can see, basically you get an image and then you have to like figure out like what's going on, or like they'll give you something like this and you have to like decipher it, and then whoever's first will get some kind of reward, right? I think they're going to do, you know, those kind of puzzles for the next few months as they continue to building demand for their project up until they are ready to mint. Now, when it comes to the inspiration behind this project, a lot of people are saying that they just copied the coda from the Yuga Labs ecosystem, and there definitely are similarities. You can also say that they took inspiration from Sonic the Hedgehog, which is the chows, right? The little characters that you hatch from an egg and then you like, they start as a baby and then they grow up. So definitely inspiration from both sides, but I wouldn't call it a copy because I feel like they took enough different elements and combined it together to create something new. Yes, maybe it's like a refreshed version or inspired by, but you can't necessarily say it's the same thing, right? Because if you say it's the same thing, then you have to say that Coda's copied these chows. Personally, I like the art, and I really feel like from an IP perspective, Nike definitely did all their homework to make sure that they, you know, are not going to get screwed over with the copyrights and all that stuff. And the last thing I'll say about Artifact and Project Animus, you know, because Artifact has 3D avatars, my guess is they want to have these avatars be able to use in many different ecosystems, not just their own. And I also believe that they will have to create their own ecosystem similar to how Yuga Labs has other side. Artifact will probably create its own competitor to that. That's just the way you make the most money, right? By being the picks and the shovels and allowing people to create on your platform. The platforms generally make the most money. So if you're trying to be the next like Facebook or Google, but the metaverse version, I think that's where Artifact will probably go, because they're creating all these assets. They're trying to inspire creators to create on their platform. So that's the most logical step, right? From a money-making perspective, I would say that the name of the game is to create as many assets as possible, get as much people to buy into your ecosystem to make it as large as possible. Later on is you drop a token, and then with the token, a lot of VCs and people who are invested and things like that can actually cash out if they want to. And if you hold the majority of those tokens and you can use it for community events, then you're able to build your ecosystem even more. So my guess is that they're trying to build an actual economy, like a country equivalent, but metaverse, and they're gonna try to most likely build a game, because when it comes to fashion, using these assets, using these characters that are evolving kind of like Pokemon, the only logical place for these assets to go is pretty much a game. And within the game, you're able to constantly create new digital assets that you can sell to regular people who don't necessarily expect a return on investment. CloneX is essentially the distributor of assets to create an ecosystem that other people will supposedly buy into, and they're going to create their own metaverse, right? And last thing we'll talk about is floor price. So the floor actually was like sub 7 ETH before the announcement, and so it's pumping all the way to to 8.8, probably going to be 9 pretty soon. Personally, I feel like if you were to buy, I would say a good time would be not necessarily right now, unless you want to ride that pump and then sell right before the airdrop. It would probably be after the airdrop when everyone starts dumping, because like right now, if you're trying to look for a CloneX, all the cool ones are kind of taken on a pump. You know, people are going to buy like the cooler assets and you're just going to be left with the ones that maybe are not as desirable. I would say the best time I've seen a good CloneX is when it's like down. Everyone was talking bad about it on Twitter, like, oh my God, like it's so sad that CloneX is bleeding out. Those kind of things actually are the best time to buy. Just know that there's no rush when it comes to these blue chips, especially if you want to hold it for the long term. Now, next thing we're going to talk about is going to be Degods. So Degods made some interesting moves over the past few days. The first one that we're going to talk about is their first product, proof of work, right? The problem that they're solving is that in the NFT space, a lot of holders will get really anxious and they'll be like, what is the founder doing? Are they even building? Are they just partying? Their solution to this is to create this product called proof of work, meaning it gives you a project is doing on a day-to-day basis. So if you were to just like pick a day, this is essentially what the company did that day, right? And so if you think about it, Degods is a software company trying to solve problems in the NFT and Web3 space. And the first one is for founders to show that, hey, I'm actually working. I'm not just running away with your money. How they're doing it is with a project management. I mean, it's minimal viable product, but if there's enough interest after they put this out, if there's enough people who request access, then they could continue to develop this product. So if you look at Yacht, they say they're a software company. And I always ask, like, what kind of software products are they creating? And here's the answer. Now, is this particularly a billion-dollar idea? Hey, who knows, right? Because there are many productivity softwares out there and project management softwares out there that are more internal, but they're huge, like ClickUp, Notion, Airtable. Sometimes it doesn't have to be that complicated. It could be these simple things that a lot of people use. So if you imagine that everybody in the NFT space has to have proof of work, right? Then this product could potentially be huge, or maybe nobody can use it, right? So that's basically the bet. I'm not sure if holders really want to see what you're doing every day. From my perspective, as a holder of a few projects, I kind of just want to know what they're doing monthly and to know they're making progress, not necessarily every day, but I can understand for people who buy, hold, flip, and they're only holding something for like 3 days at a time, maybe they would want that daily thing. So I don't know if this will work or not, but I am following along to see how this goes down. And it's interesting to see NFT projects building software. Now, the other thing that Degods did is they made a move to do zero royalties. A lot of people are like, oh, that you can only do that because you have VC funding, right? Which is fair. They do have VC funding, so they don't necessarily need the money in royalties, but it's an interesting move indeed. My personal guess on why they did this is because, one, they don't need the money from royalties. It's a statement that gets them more advertising and attention on Twitter, especially because they came out with this new software, right? So one of the best ways to do marketing is come out with a tweet that says we're doing 0% royalties to get people like me and other content creators to talk about it. And then people are going to go check out this proof of work thing. And potentially there may be hundreds of people that click on request access. And if you think about it, in the Web2 world, if you were to get someone to fill out this form, you might have to pay like $50 or $100 per form, right? It's if you're running an ad on like Google or LinkedIn or Facebook, that's a way to do marketing to get people to go on this form and fill it out. The second thing is, if you think about an ecosystem in general, the goal is actually not to make as much money in royalties. The goal is to bring as much money into your ecosystem, whether it's tokens or NFTs, as possible. Because the more money you can drive into your project, the higher your market cap and the higher your valuation of your company, which is great for investors. And it's really great if you are raising a Series B round. And let's say they want to raise like $50 million. When you do that, the investor's going to be looking at how big your market cap is, what's the value of your token, what's the floor price of your NFT. And if this 0% royalties removes friction, it allows more people to come into your ecosystem, and Degods is in a position where they could potentially be one of the largest Solana projects. So who cares if you make any royalties if you're multiples ahead of your competition, right? Now, in other news, we're going to talk about Bored Ape Yacht Club recently just created a sandbox environment. So this team, CryptoCities Development, I believe is the one that actually put it together. You know, just looking at it, looks not bad, but I wonder if anybody will play it. Artifact came out with its own sandbox experience. I don't think many people played it. Personally, for me and my circle of friends and my network, I don't know anyone really like going on Sandbox every day to play the games, but I'm sure there are people doing it. But I guess we'll have to see if this is an experience that will actually play out. Now, next project we're going to talk about is going to be another metaverse project that recently minted, and it's going to be Helix. Now, I actually did meet one of the founders of this project, actually a pretty nice, humble guy. It's interesting because they recently minted out a 5K collection. Floor price is at 0.156 right now. In my personal opinion, when I looked at some of the demos and the images and stuff, it's kind of like reminds me of GTA, right? Grand Theft Auto, but its own metaverse form. I think the founder was telling me that they basically created a one-to-one model of New York City using artists and artificial intelligence to put this together, which I found pretty interesting. So the graphics and stuff like that are pretty good. I forgot what engine they were using, but they're using one of the engines to like put everything together, which is why the graphics are so good, right? So they raised $3.5 million in pre-seed round led by Play Ventures. And so yeah, if you want to learn more about this project and check it out, make sure to go on their Twitter and go on their Discord to learn more about that. And so with that said, that is everything we got to cover for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next one.